is the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent Podcast, hosted by me, Kelly Donnie Upiro. This show is for growing insurance agencies looking to maximize their biggest investment, their people. Listen to the top agency performance partners clients share their story on how they boosted their performance by executing a plan. Let's head to the show. So I'm so excited to welcome you to this next podcast that we have on the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent Podcast. I've had the pleasure of working with Josh Callahan for almost a year and a half now. And we started working together pre-pandemic, then the pandemic hit. And, he's just a really phenomenal Erie agent. He has got a couple locations. He's in tier 4 with Erie, if you know what that means. It means he's kind of in the big group, but he's in tier 4, and some of those agencies have 20, 30 people. And he's got a pretty tight-knit group of about 10 to 12, and he's still crushing it. So with Erie or auto owners or nationwide, there's a lot of heavy life requirements that can lead the agency to a great amount of new business and sales and hitting goals and profitability. So Josh has figured out really the life insurance side like no other Erie agent I've seen. In fact, for many agents in Erie with qualifying month, what ends up happening is they're scrambling around for those last few life insurance policies, writing them on their friends and family just to hit the tiers and the bonuses. Well, not this agency. They're definitely taking full advantage. So in this podcast, we're going to break down how to cross-sell life, no matter what agency you're with, because it's a huge opportunity, it bumps retention, and it's the right thing to do. But we're also going to talk about what happens when you get those life leads that they don't qualify. Maybe they have a medical condition. Maybe, there's just something that isn't an ideal fit. Josh has worked with agencies on final expense insurance, which was eye-opening to me because I didn't know much about it until I started working with Josh and his team. And think of it as that they don't qualify, but they're still an option that can make the agency a lot of money. So Josh is going to talk a little bit about that and how he helps agents with that too. But without further ado, let's break down how to cross-sell life insurance in your current book of business. I'll see you on the flip side. Well, hello, everyone. I'm here with a very special guest, my friend, client, Josh Callahan from C Group Insurance. And really excited to have Josh on here today because not only is he an Erie agent, not only did he just crush Erie qualifying month a couple months ago, because this is being recorded in advance, but he's also got a very interesting product that I think a lot of our clients could benefit from. So I'm really excited. So Josh, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello.
So Josh, why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your background, where your agency is. Just give our viewers, listeners a little background.
Well, I started scratch in 2009 here in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, the big metropolis. But before that, I actually was a life and health agent with American General Life and Accident. I got my start there when I was like 23 years old, and so it was one of those things that I always envied those PNC guys because I had all these clients, and then I got into PNC, and then I quit writing life because you're too busy. You say you're too busy to do it, and then and it just kind of gets away from you. So then we kind of circled the wagons back and came back to that. But we now have 5 locations. We have, over 4,000, actually 5,000 clients now. So we've grown quite a bit since then, a little bit through acquisition, but most of it's we've just started scratch agencies, different places. But it's been going really well, thankful to be an Erie agent, thankful to be independent. It's just been, it's been good.
And just for other Erie agents out there, what tier are you in Erie?
4, unfortunately. Well, I mean, qualifying for 4, they got me in Division 3, which is not really fair considering where I live, but our production kind of puts us in there. I complain about it all the time because I mean, we always compete against people with 30 and 40 employees and, millions and millions and millions of dollars of premium. So, but, we still find a way to win a lot. And, I guess that's a good thing too.
Well, and tell us a little bit too. So, you were a scratch agency, started up, joined Erie, became an Erie agency. Where do you see kind of the opportunity? How does your agency grow that fast? And I'm just going to tell everybody this. I've been out to Josh's locations. These are little teeny tiny itty bitty places, right?
Yes. Oh, yes, they are. Yeah. Little tiny rural towns in Southwest Virginia. Yeah, for sure.
So I know one of the big components that I want to talk to you about today, which is we get a lot of questions about. So whether it's Erie, whether it's auto owners, it has similar components. How the heck, Josh, do you cross sell life insurance to these people? Because I'm sure you hear it from other Erie agents. They look at your life production and they're like, what are you doing? How do you
Yeah.
do that? I don't understand. Like we're scratching to get just the bare minimum to qualify. And so you guys have just done some amazing things on life insurance. I'm curious if you'd be willing to share a little bit about what you guys do with our listeners.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, and I work with a lot of agents that were getting going in this. But kind of what we did is we took our blueprint. As we grow agencies, it's worked, and so we've done that. And I was like, man, there has to be a way to do this same thing for all lines of business. But one of the things that I noticed, and I shared this story with many people, but in 2016, I was still in this growth mode, and we were just trying. We were needing CSRs. I was wanting to grow another location. We were just doing a lot of different stuff, and so I was just researching, and I kept coming across final expense for 50 and ups, and I was like, man, I started looking and started doing a little research, and some of these cats were making some money, and they're all buying leads, and they were going door to door, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude. I was like, but then part of me where I used to sell like that, I was like, I could probably do that again. So I signed up and worked with absolutely the worst possible IMO that you could think of, and anyway, but still got leads and did it and learned, and I did 6 figures of personal production in 2016. So I opened up a location, hired a CSR, and then I was like, I was going in my clients' homes and with these leads, and they were my clients. And I'm like, what in the heck? I was like, they were buying it from everybody but us. And
That
so
was
I started
totally one
thinking
of those
about,
like wake up call moments, right? Like,
yeah, it,
oh,
it
hold on,
was.
we do this and you're not
Yeah.
buying it here.
And
I'm
it,
curious when you ask people, what would they say? What was the reason they weren't buying it from you? Was there a reason?
yeah, well, the main thing is they didn't know we did it. So, I mean,
Step
they're like,
one,
you
they
guys,
have to know you do it.
yeah, it is like, you guys sell life insurance? And we're like, yeah. And they said, well, you do this. And I was like, well, yeah, we do. So it was a wake up call, because I was out there. Then I was like thinking about my book of business that was 50 and up. And so I spent the next 2 or 3 years developing a program to where it's kind of cut and dry, where we could just go in there, implement it, and sell this to our clients. And we did it, and we started killing it, started making silver tiers mainly off of just final expense. And then I was like, well, we need to do the other life insurance as well. So basically what we did then is we figured out a way to get our CSRs involved, which is the number one thing. I'd love to say that I was the greatest thing since whatever for selling life insurance, but if you're an agency owner, your CSR is the key to whether or not you sell life insurance, whether you know it or not. And so we tapped into that, and we developed a program for our CSRs to be able to generate the leads, whether they're licensed or not. And then we put in a system to where we could sell, and really our results have been kind of crazy. I mean, we had people, even other national carriers reaching out to us like, what the heck, we're hearing about this place in Southwest Virginia, whatever. And so we knew we had something, but then now we've just been tweaking it and trying to get it to where, now as we work with agencies, they can just plug and go. So that has been the big thing. But if you could take away one piece, it's going to be getting your CSR involved. A lot of people say, well, I've got a live producer. Well, odds are they're really not a live producer. They're really not that good. Cause I mean, they every now and then they'll do a few things, but our duo teams, our CSR, some are licensed, some are not, though we're averaging, $5,000 to $6,000 a week of production with Erie, and then even more than that sometimes with other carriers. So it's been good, but the biggest thing was getting them involved, and that's what we're going to be able to show agencies how to do, and to where the principal doesn't really have to be involved, because I figured that out a long time ago. Worked with a lot of principals, and they're not the people to talk to. We're so busy with so many other things. Yeah, I know. But we over time have just made enough mistakes with it and figured out a way to where we can like, hey, we can do this consistently. And now we're not going to cover off of the ball. And it's just been, I think they told me the other day that nobody's writing more apps in the company than we are.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, not only in Virginia, but in the company as well. So, I mean, we're proud of that to be where we are. So, but I think we can show any agency, whether you're a one-man shop with a one CSR or if you've got 40 people. And that's the kind of people we're working with right now. And we're excited about, what it's going to look like.
That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the CSR piece, because that's a lot of stuff that we do too, is the training
For
and
sure.
things like that. But I always see, and I'm curious what your take on this is, there's just so much hesitation around life insurance, especially if they're not licensed, there's a lot. If they are licensed but not practicing it, there's a lot. And I don't know if it's just like, I can't talk about it. What if they ask me a question, Josh, that I don't know, right? We hear that all the time.
Yep.
So I'm curious, did you ever feel that in your agency? How did you overcome that and get them to be the rock stars they are today?
Oh yeah, for sure. And and it's safe to say that there's, a few of my CSRs, which we don't have that many people anyway, but are really almost scared of sales in a way. Like they are those people. They're afraid that they're going to say the wrong thing or say something, but really, and if you could boil it down to one simple thing, just asking the question of where do you have it? If your CSR can't ask a customer when they're updating a profile, like, hey, where you have your life insurance? I noticed we don't have it. Even if something is that simple, if your CSR can't do that, they probably need to find something else to do. So that kind of takes some of the hesitation away, because once they start asking some specific questions that are geared more to saying yes and things like that, it's not as hard to transition, and most of it for us is just starting that conversation with every single client. We don't run reports on who has life insurance and we don't. What we do is every time we take a phone call, we're using our program. So that is the big thing, because our believe it or not, our unlicensed CSRs do a better job at asking where they have it at than even our licensed ones do. So that's what starts the conversation. And you can have a minimum wage secretary that answers the phone that can generate life leads. And a lot of people don't realize you can do that. You can ask questions without selling somebody a policy.
I know. We always say that, customer service people are like their sweethearts, right? So they don't want to offer them something that they don't know that they're going to qualify for, right? So I think this is one of those keys to success that you guys have had, where life insurance, you find out they're a smoker, they've got diabetes, of course, the people who want it, or the people who really want it are usually ones that, there's some challenges on. So I think this is a great entry into how you guys have taken, hey, not everybody qualifies for life insurance, right? We all know that. And some people qualify, but it's way out of their budget. So tell us a little bit about final expense, because I know as I met you, I learned a lot more about final expense. And I was like, wow, this is a great option in those kind of hard situations.
It is because one of the things, the underwriting is so streamlined to where, that's the thing. Most of the time when you've got a 22-year-old that takes out a little $100,000 policy for $15 a month, and it takes 6 to 8 weeks because they got to get a full blown paramed, so you're looking at that for a couple $100 a year. Or you have a 55-year-old female that knows that she needs $10,000 and you can get it issued on the spot, make triple the premium, and she's happy and she's ready to buy without having to twist her arm. So that's one of the things that we realize, though, is that our book of business, and I think everybody that I've ever talked to, there is a large amount of clients that are in that range. 50 to 75 is a big percentage of pretty much any agency's book. We talk to 3 and 4 generation agencies, and they are just loaded with them. And I told them, and I was like, your customers are literally buying this from everyone but you. And in a day, which, one of the reasons, I wanted your program in my agency was just the retention side. I was like, this is one piece of business that a lot of these people don't qualify for these huge, fully underwritten products. And I was like, we can get that other hook in them, round out the account, and generate a extreme amount of revenue, which, we've made 6 figures of additional revenue ever since we implemented this program. And now we're on pace to double that. So we're, that part is really good. So, I mean, the final expense piece, and once we figured that out and got embarrassed a couple times with our customers buying it from like AARP or whoever they got in the mail that week, we just said, hey, we need to have something for this group of customers. And then also too, by doing this, it gave us access to a couple other carriers to where we could do other things as well, not even just the 50 and up. We had other ways to get people insured. And most agencies that I come across, you're like, okay, this lady had a heart attack and she's a diabetic and this, and you can get her a first aid benefit with no wait period. And they're like, what? And that's what CSRs, they're scared to say, hey, do you want this? And then they get rejected. And then the customer think their customer's going to get mad. So, and that's part of what we've done too, is we've got the underwriting down to where we can just flip to our chart, take anything and automatically know where the person goes and do it on the fly, which took a lot of work, but it makes things so much better.
Yeah, I think you're so right. It's like, that, and I do feel like a lot of CSRs have such high price sensitivity
Mhm.
that in their head, no one can afford their insurance. This is like, I'm asking them to spend more money. But that flip side of if something happens, I think every insurance agency has had that phone call, did my husband have life insurance? And having them deliver that message, no, I think is so much harder than just saying, would you like to look into this? It's your decision and you're just educating them.
Absolutely. And that really is our job. I mean, it is. I mean, we like to say that, but it really is, because we've had more than our fair share of those conversations, and they're brutal at best. And that's one of the stances that we took. And that's what I tell them. And that's the mentality we have now, is that, look, that could happen at any given time. So what we're going to do is we make sure that at the end of the day, we've talked to them about it. So that way it's no longer on us. It's on them. And the CSRs understand, they do understand that. But I've told ours plenty of times, like, you're not, your customer's CPA. You don't know what they can afford.
Right.
You don't get the right to make that decision for them. I was like, because some of the places that I've been into, that is, you wouldn't believe what people afford, but people pay for what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, making sure you're not leaving a burden on someone is, for an older person, is extremely important. So that's one of the things that I think they finally started to understand. And then almost every one of them has their own personal story now about one of their clients or somebody they knew that didn't have it. And they're like, man, I do not want to go through that again. It's so tough to have that conversation.
I agree. And I think, it just takes people out of their comfort zone. But once you do it a couple times, everybody gets it. And you find out that people actually want to have the conversation about life insurance,
They do.
or final expense, because I think for so many people, it's on their list of things in their head they know they should focus on. But let's be honest, like, we're going to wake up one day and, the time we're going to need it maybe is not the right time to get it because we have a medical issue or a friend of ours has an issue. And I think sometimes people just need to be invited in to get it, right? Like, if I like you and I know you do it, it's like, yeah, Josh, you're right. Let's just take care of this right now. But I think no one likes to think about dying, right?
They don't. And, nobody likes to think about insurance, period. So we might as well be the people that talk about everything bad, so, and that's really what we tell people, is that, look, you already trust us for everything, why not have it all here?
Mhm.
I mean, we want to make sure, I was like, your family counts us as your agent. So if something happens to you, we want to make sure that we can deliver your family a check, and that's really what we do. And it's took all of that kind of that angst out of the CSR, because they all have bought in now. We just enrolled our last CSR into it. In her first week doing our program, I mean, she generated 10 leads for our guy, and it's been good. So and you've seen us through this. You've seen us kind of grow and just take off with it, and it's been fun to watch. Like I said, I get calls every day now. People are like, "What in the heck is going on?"
What's going on with you people over there?
Yeah, it's like you'd think that we lived in like Atlanta or something. But no, we think that we're kind of figuring out what all agencies need to be doing, and it makes us so much more valuable than your online stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's still a relationship business. And a lot of times people worry about the stuff with online, but I hate to say it, but they're not asking your customers important questions. And that's where we can, that's where we can help.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, we're, done this whole pandemic thing, right? Everybody's in different phases with it. I'm in California. There's still a lockdown here for the most part while we're shooting this. But how has COVID changed the life insurance conversation? Because from what I've seen, it makes it a gajillion times easier because to me, everybody has had that thought cross their mind. What if I got this? What if it kills me? And now we know so much more, but you rewind the point where we thought you got it. You were going on a ventilator and dying. Like that was the end of you. I think everybody's had this cross. Well, what if this was the thing? And are my affairs in order? So have you guys seen it become easier with COVID?
Well, I tell you what, I wish that I could have seen it coming and then had everybody ready. Yeah, because when everybody thought you walked out the door, you automatically just vaporize. It's like that was back like March of last year or whatever.
Yeah, basically, like you didn't leave your house because the grocery store was the scariest place in the whole wide world to be.
Yes. And so like, I think a lot of people, they were like, everybody was scared. I was nervous because I was, done with it too. I didn't know like exactly the extent. And, we've actually had customers pass away from it and, different things. It's been tough, but, for whatever reason, that mortality piece that's been on everybody's minds, I think has opened up people's eyes to be like, hey, some random virus that just shows up out of nowhere can take me out of here. So, we can't forget about all the other things that's more likely to happen. So in some ways it has, but I think for us, the biggest thing that's changed is just the culture and the agency about how we approach it. It just so happened to coincide with, COVID. I feel thankful to be, going through that time and grow a location and hire 3 people, through, the last year. And so, but, I've made sure that from this, from that point on, that everybody that comes to work for us kind of knows that's how we do, and that's what they expect. And so it's been good. It's been good. So I don't know how much COVID has played into it. It's threw us a couple curveballs for sure, but I really think that maybe it just kind of got people thinking about mortality. I don't know, and that's the only thing I can think of.
I think it made us all think to ourselves like, well, we got to be adults, got to figure the things out, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So one of the things I do want to break down is, kind of getting even into as specific as possible, because I know I had heard final expense, totally didn't totally understand it, but so at the end of the day, I have life insurance. I've got my 20-year term on me. Just kind of walk everybody through. I know you said the underwriting simple and easy, but like, what are the steps? So like, how easy is it truly?
Okay. So one of the things that, the underwriting in general wasn't simple in the beginning because, you had to figure out what was what. But we took, our top 5 carriers, and we've pretty much over the last few years took pretty much any major health condition or whatever they had going on and was able to go through the underwriting guidelines and figure out who goes where. So, really it's a 1-page sheet. You can just look at it and see.
Right there, like literally final expense, like any health condition. Because is it really any, or is it most? Like how broad are we talking here?
I mean, you can actually get someone insured with final expense for pretty much anything. Really, HIV and being on oxygen is probably 2 of your kind of like your guaranteed issue type things where they've got the 2-year wait. But the majority of what we do though, you can actually get somebody first aid benefit as soon as you do the application and they get approved. Now, because a lot of times, and customers don't know this either, but everything that they do through the mail or through the phone or whatever the case, the majority of that is going to be a 2-year wait. Okay. So most of the time your customers don't even have insurance and they think they do. But those people never have to talk to them again. So that was a big thing too, because I didn't really want my customers out there buying that stuff, as well. So like I said, when we went out there and we started meeting with clients and seeing these type of things, most people, I hate to say it, most people over 50 have something going on. Very rarely do we run across someone that's maybe just on blood pressure and cholesterol. I mean, that's going to be pretty much issued with any standard carrier, no problem. But I mean, we run into a lot of diabetics. We run into a lot of heart issues, prior cancer, a lot of different things that your standard carrier, your captive carrier, a lot like us, do not want. They don't want to even think, I mean, but you're leaving thousands of dollars of premium on the table. And that's what we figured out. I was like, you can go into a home and you have a lady that's 62 or a man that's 62, had cancer 5 years ago, and they're also a diabetic. Well, the average PNC agent's going to be like, well, they can't get anything. I'm like, nope, I can write them first aid benefit and we'll get paid in 2 days and it's done. And they're happy and they're just blown away. They can't believe it. And so that has been the big eye opener for us, is that we can pretty much get any of our clients something, and it's going to be the smaller stuff. It's going to range from $5,000 to $35,000, but most people that are just preparing for that stage of their life, that is plenty of insurance for what they're trying to do.
And how much does it cost? Like, just for people who don't know, like, I know that's hard with all the medical conditions, but
Yeah. I mean, our average cases are roughly $600 to $800 a year. So that's pretty substantial.
Yeah. But you have a severe medical condition. This is, this is one of those like last ditch effort things.
Yeah, it is. And to be able to help your customer with that, and, one of the things too, if you have their home and their auto, and then you add this to it, you're really solidifying yourself with them. The odds of them leaving you and not taking that, I mean, it makes it more difficult. And that was the big reason why we got into it, because I didn't want my customers buying insurance from anybody but me. So, but I have to be real. And I was just like any other PNC agent. And I've never really met a PNC agency that really do good at all with life insurance, much less final expense. Final expense is pretty much non-existent in any PNC agency that I've ever seen. And it blows my mind. I've never met anyone that does it. They just think that customers don't qualify, So like us Erie agents, I mean, really, like if it's not what we typically do, we don't even worry about it. And that's what I've opened up a lot of our agents' eyes with. I'm like, look, there is so much, there's millions and millions of dollars of premium out there, that we're letting people run around door to door and take it from you. So it is a huge, huge opportunity.
Hey everyone, just want to take a quick time out from the podcast. I'm just wondering, have you ever thought, gosh, if my team just had a few sales scripts, I think they could do some great things with it. Well, look no further. We actually sell our sales scripts on our online store for $50. It's a no-brainer, right? These sales scripts are all about how to cross-sell life insurance, something Josh is also talking about, but how to cross-sell all products, how to cross-sell between departments, how to overcome objections, how to position yourself, how to ask for those other lines. And also too, anything sales related, we have covered in these sales scripts. I think there's like 40 of them that we have included. And they're not just scripts, there's talking points, there's the why. And we give people different options. So it's not like, do this, it's not your tone of voice, I don't like it. We actually have 3 or 4 options for people. Because there's a lot of shade thrown on scripts. Not a lot of people like them. But I always look at it like, hey, it's a starting point. I can massage it and make it my own. But sometimes people just need to know how to get started. So go to agencyperformancepartners.com/shop and you'll find, and you can even search in our search for scripts, and we have retention scripts and sales scripts. We hope that you take a look at those, as I think it's a great opportunity for this podcast listeners, especially as Josh is sharing some of the tips on selling life insurance. We have those in there for you of what to say, how to ask, and how to overcome those objections. Hopefully we see you as a new store purchaser.
And so how do you help agencies with this, right? Because it's really nice of you to come on and tell everybody about final expense and, give people tips on life insurance because you're a good guy. But I know that you have a whole separate, organization that really helps agencies get this done. So can you tell everybody a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So when we did that, I started a company. It's Agency Final Expense Solutions. But what we did in the beginning was we were just working with agencies to help them sell final expense, showing you how to market to your clients, scripts, underwriting, that sort of thing is like a package deal. But now it's evolved into life insurance in general, which is super important because we have so many clients in that 18 to 50 range, that we have to take care of as well. And we're wanting that retention to stick just like we are our older clients. So, we started working with agents, and what we do is we'll help them get set up. We show them, we get them contracted, we show them everything that they need to do, and then they plug and play into our system. We work with CSRs, and I love getting my CSRs on calls with other CSRs because they see people just like them that are either non-licensed, licensed, that are just killing it, and it gives them a, hey, I can do that.
Right.
There's nothing special. I mean, my people are special, I think, but I mean, there's nothing that makes them any different than anyone else. It's just that we've put in the time and work to figure out how to get these people. So we work with a lot of agencies, and we will help them. It's a turnkey program. Really, the biggest thing is now what we've worked on the most is getting their CSR involved, because I could have the best program in the world, but if you don't generate leads to sell it to,
Right.
we're sitting, we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. So that's what we've done now in the last year, is we're helping with that lead generation to where we can go in any agency, their CSR generates their leads, and then we give them the tools to be able to sell something to anyone on the life insurance side.
So I know, you're saying like, hey, the CSRs need to generate leads. And I think that that's like, it's such an interesting situation, because I don't think many agency owners look at like, hey, the CSRs are lead generators. I think that they try to do everything else. They'll try to do postcards. They'll try to do, like all the things. And I'm not saying that those things can't work, right?
And they can.
Yeah. In your experience, what's been the best way to generate these opportunities? Is it just when people call in saying, where's your life insurance? Or have you found any other marketing strategies?
Well, I mean, I tell you what, like if I was just to get the CSRs going, I think that's the easiest thing, because what you got to do is you got to take that scared part away. You got to make it easy. If you said, hey, I need you to sell, 10 life policies this week, and threw that at them, I think they'd all just look at you like deer in headlights. So what we've done is, that's one of the first things that we do, and be like, to work here, as you finish up a call and you make sure that everything's updated, you find out where they have their life insurance. Say, oh, I noticed in your file we don't have it. Who's that with?
Mm-hmm.
It's not confrontational. It's not invasive. They're going to tell you one of three things. It's going to be either I have it at work, I don't have anything, or I have this, and so you're at least able to take that information, and what you do with it after that point is something totally different. But at least you're starting that conversation. So we've got it to where now, even an unlicensed person, as they ask and they're gathering information, it's already emailed over to someone that does have a life license. And by the time the phone's hung up, we're already calling them and following up. So timing is critical, but you've got to, it does take a little bit of time to get to that point. So the biggest thing is making sure your CSRs are not scared, and they're able to just transition into it, and it's amazing. They get better and better every time. Once they realize how people are willing to talk to you about it, they're like, oh, okay, well, this and this. And so it's just, we've been able to add steps, and that the first one is that.
That's awesome. As far as like, if any agencies are interested in learning about how you guys handle final expense or how you can help them, what's the best way for them to find you, Josh?
I mean, they can, you can go on to the afesonline.com. So that's Agency Final Expense Solutions online.com. But they can also just reach out to us via email. They can use mine at josh@cgroupinsurance.com, and you could probably put in some kind of notes or whatever. But then, what we like to do is, we like to talk to an agency, see what they're dealing with. And like I said, from a 2-person shop or a 1-man shop all the way up to the largest agencies there are, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, we can do it, because really it's starting early and starting small is the best place to be, because, those people are easier to train. But then also us, we had so many CSRs that didn't do anything, and now they're all, kicking on all cylinders. So we're excited about that. And I think that's a big thing that most people have told us, like, wow, when I hung up the phone with you guys after we did that call, we generated 5 life leads. And I'm like, yeah. So it creates a momentum in the agency, and also, and I can't stress this enough, the revenue stream that any agency out here listening will not ever get unless they do this. So it's like, this is money sitting in your agency that's untapped, that is there, that it's yours. You just got to get to it, you know?
Well, it sounds to me like what you're saying is like, hey, these are life leads that aren't going to close because they have underwriting issues. So
Right.
you're just basically recycling them. So why trash a lead when now you can turn it into something?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And then also too, like you said, some of the most people nowadays have an agency management system to where you can, you can generate postcards. You can generate. We have a couple cool mailings that work that you can just send out to everyone in a certain age bracket, and you can send it to them. You wouldn't believe, because these seniors are responding to everybody else's generic mail that they get, but when they see something with your name on it and asking the same things, your open ratio and them calling you goes through the roof. So we do a conjunction of a few things, but in the beginning, it's more about just getting those conversations started.
And tell me a little bit, like, how would an agency work with you? Like, is it access to markets? Like, tell me a little bit about some of those partnerships and just for, people are interested.
So right now, I mean, we're still developing some of the bigger programs that people can participate in. But really, for the most part, right now, we're working with agencies. We give them access to the markets, and the carriers are really not as important as the system, because like I could go out there right now and take a few new carriers, learn a little bit more about their underwriting, and then switch them out and plug them into our system, and then we can use those too. A lot of people say, well, I need to get this carrier and that carrier. It's really not. It's really about using a system and then just having a place to put someone. So that's what we would do. We would give them access to markets and things like that. But the biggest thing they would get working with us is the ability to close those leads, have all the things that they need, the tools, the scripts, the trainings, all those sort of things. So that way they can actually, put this in place in their agency without having to stop the wheels from turning, so to speak. Cause I know how crazy it is in an agency, and, everybody's like, oh, geez, so here's something new we got to do, whatever. But when it comes down to revenue, though, this isn't something that you do and forget about. This is something that'll change the face of any agency for the good forever. So I think that's a little bit more valuable than some things.
Well, I love what you said about it, and I think it's so great that that there are these opportunities out there. So, Josh, anything else that we didn't cover that you were hoping we'd talk a little bit about today on final expense or life insurance?
I mean, no, I think the biggest thing is for every agency to know that I was pretty much like everyone else. We focused on P&C commercial, that was where we did. But, you got to write a lot of P&C to hire a new team member. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't grow fast enough. And the one thing that I found through life insurance and through final expense is that I can go out this month and generate enough revenue to hire 1, 2 team members
Wow.
with doing this. And that's what we've been able to do. We see a need and we just go make the money to hire them. So, I mean, that has been so powerful in our agency, because we live in a small town and multiple small towns. And, like I said, it takes a long time to generate enough P&C revenue at $800 to $1,000 a pop to hire the help that you
And
need.
there's no service work, right? Like,
Is absolutely,
so
that.
it's not like when you sell it, you have to keep servicing it.
Well, yeah, and then the thing too, it's like, we have short attention spans as agents, and we want rewards now. So the great thing about final expense, most of our carriers, we have some that you write it today, and the next day or the following day you'll be paid in full. So it's like, that cash flow is huge. And so like with life insurance, you're like, oh well, I wrote this 20-year term, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, nope, we wrote $3,000 of life insurance premium that we're going to be paid on all of it by Friday. So, that has been, I think, the biggest change for us is being able to generate money today. That's the thing. You can do it today. So, if any agency's thinking about, or if they're in that spot, like, man, I need a CSR, or, I need this extra help, I'm just overwhelmed. This is one way that you can get there quicker than anything that I've found, and also helps you with your attention. And, we didn't really talk much about, how beneficial it's been working with you guys, but that has been one of the things that when I did this, I was thinking about retention. When I came to you, I was thinking about retention, so all of it works really, really well together.
Well, good. Well, Josh, I'm glad that you got to share with everybody some of the things you've educated me on with final expense, because I love life insurance, but this is just such a no-brainer to me. It doesn't qualify. Let's still give them a home, make the agency some money,
Oh
and
yeah.
have everything kind of keep working. And if it's not your area of expertise, that's why it's great that people like you out there exist to help agents with it too. So it just kind of seems like a win-win all around.
It is. And we, we love working with agents, and I know like you do too. And it's just, I get passionate and excited about it because, really, I hate, even for your listeners, like I hate for someone else to be selling their customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just,
I know.
it's like in my backyard, talking to my people. I don't like it. So,
Well, and you know what I think is even the hardest? It's your customers are buying it from somebody else. They'd rather go through someone they know than a stranger, right? Like I don't want to go through a stranger and say, "Hey, here's all my medical issues and everything else," right? Like I already know you. So, but the team has to overcome the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt associated with this new product. And the only way they do that is by trying. So I think it's so great that you put some of your CSRs on the phone to show you, hey, it's okay. It's okay,
yeah. Oh yeah. And like I said, when us agents, we walk in the room, we start talking about stuff, people are coming like, oh gosh, here we go. But like I said, but when you've got someone that's actually doing it day in and day out, that perks people's attention, and they're like, and I'd love to say that I'm just awesome at speaking to people and getting people excited, but our calls with our CSRs go so much further than they do with even just me, talking about a way for the agency to make more money.
Yeah, well, I think it's like, so how does it really work? Because there's like a little distrust between CSRs and agency owners because it's two different brains, two different personalities. It's like, you do my job and you can do this, and it's not much more work. Like I'm not going to get buried in backlogs and everything else. So
For
I think
sure.
it's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Josh, for your time today. And for all of our listeners, there'll be a link to Josh's information in our show notes. So hopefully if you're interested, you can learn more. But thank you so much, Josh. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Listen, it was great, and look forward to getting you back down here soon.
Yes, now that everything's lifted, I'd love a trip to rural West. What is it?
Hey, listen, now, nothing wrong with West Virginia, but they get us confused.
I know, but Western Virginia.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, hey, have a good one.
Thanks so much. Well, what did everybody think about Josh? Is he not a ridiculously amazing insurance agent? And trust me, I've been to his offices. They are in teeny, teeny, tiny small towns in Virginia, the west side of Virginia, not West Virginia. And what I love about it is that he doesn't see the challenges. He just sees the opportunities. And it's a huge, huge opportunity thinking about life insurance, but there are a great deal of hangups that people have on it. And so really unpacking those and helping empower people to ask and make those decisions, I think is just so brilliant and such a huge opportunity. So I'm glad he had the opportunity to share. We'll have in the show notes how to contact Josh if you're interested in final expense insurance, or you're looking to have us help you with some of those concepts on how to cross-sell life. In the interim, we hope that you have a great day, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help you. We'd love to hear more about how you're a ridiculously amazing insurance agent, or any questions that you have that we can help answer. Just a friendly reminder, this show, we don't have any paid advertisers. I don't know if you've noticed. There's no interruptions by other people that say, hey, buy my product. It's all just us. We do this all for ourselves. So if you've liked it, the way that you can pay us back is by sharing it, leaving a comment, or rating the podcast. We love to get more viewers, followers, and let Apple know that it's a great podcast to follow for the insurance space. Until the next podcast, we'll see you later.